things that you have expressed, I believe, is that loyal opposition you hope would lead to well thought out legislation. How's that working out for you? You think do we just not have enough loyal opposition, or are you willing to argue that we're getting well thought out legislation? What's our situation?
Well, in regards to the financial regulatory bill, which is going to be voted on tonight, I think loyal opposition is taking place and it is working. For example, Senator Grassley of Iowa on Wednesday voted for a provision to restrict derivative controls in the Agriculture Committee, and he was the only Republican to vote for this. And he has stated publicly in an interview that he is willing to support the final bill and make it bipartisan if certain flaws are fixed. So this is an example of loyal opposition because he is not obstructing the bill simply because he disagrees with it, but he's working to compromise with the Democrats in order to reach a bill that is better for the whole of America.
And I would just like to correct my colleague. I believe that the vote on the final financial regulatory bill is not to occur tonight, but rather the motion to proceed to debate the bill is going to occur tonight. And I would also like to add that I believe the Republicans are not being in loyal opposition to the bill right now because Mitch McConnell actually, I believe right now, is blocking this motion to proceed. And I think that when he does that and when the rest of the Republican Party does that, they give up any way to influence the final legislation and to make it a better product, which is inevitably the goal of the loyal opposition.
And to propose a solution to this problem that exists as exemplified by the healthcare debate, I would propose something that is similar to what Senator Tom Harkin has proposed, which is a sliding scale for a cloture. I propose that the first cloture vote would require 60 votes to gain cloture as it is now. However, every 2 weeks, the requirement would decrease by 3 votes until it reaches a simple majority of 51 in order to reach cloture.
You mentioned in your opening presentation about putting holds on nominations and objecting to nominations. Assuming that all of you would act if you were senators as part of the loyal opposition, what criteria do you think would be legitimate criteria for a senator to use to block an appointment to a government position?
If we take a look at the confirmation process of Judge Abe Fortas, the committee that was responsible for gathering information on the judge actually discovered that he was paid a large private sum in order to teach a very minute class at a private college. And so when his confirmation was put onto the Senate floor, the senators filibustered his confirmation and defeated his confirmation because they believed that he did not possess the moral integrity and the impartial mentality required of a judge.
And in our discussion the other day with Justice Kennedy's law clerk, he stated that it was more important to look at the record of a judge as opposed to their ideology, which is currently one of the hot topics of the nomination process for Justice Stevens' replacement.
Thank you very much. Well, I know I speak for my colleagues after a very thoughtful discussion like that and saying there's no surprise as to why California is here competing on Monday with all of the historical examples, the thorough reasoning, the lack of hesitancy to disagree with each other, but also the broad agreement on the main thesis of the team in response to the question. You said, no, we're going to stick with this as a legislative concept because in our research, that's where it came from in the English tradition. That's what we think the question is asking about, and that's why we've defined it as we have. And I think that shows a great amount of maturity and consistency that is really important for us to see. I would also really appreciated some of the thoroughness with which you mined the Constitution. I've been asking my question all morning in Bill of Attainder as a protection for the loyal opposition. That's the first time I've heard it, and I think it's a fine example given the historical context that you brought to the fore. So just lots of things for me to think about as a result of our conversation today, and I'm glad that you all will continue to think about this as you go from the contest to embracing your role as citizens.
I thought your prepared remarks were quite good. And when you basically framed it sort of near the end of your remarks, that this is how you were going to narrow the discussion, I was a little concerned at first. But as we proceeded with the questioning and heard you not only discuss but provide reasoned responses to our questions with a breadth, I think, also of examples, and a breadth demonstrating that you're well-read and you're well-read beyond just the unit material. You must have looked at the newspaper this morning. And we're able to weave those kinds of things together into a coherent presentation. Good job.
The third judge always concurs with the first two, and so I certainly do. I thought it was a very good presentation. I shared the same concern about limiting it to the legislative process, because I think there are all sorts of interesting other possibilities for loyal opposition out there. But not only did you do it, you did it well, which it wasn't so artificial. There was a reason for doing so. It had real benefits for you, and you had focused and understood the value of doing so. If we'd had more time, and this is always a good sign of there are more things I wish we could talk about, I would have taken this into a discussion of the legislative process examples you used, which are manufactured by the chambers, not in the Constitution. But I have plenty of confidence that you could have educated me on that issue too. And so I think you did a wonderful job representing the state of California extremely well.